Hi everyone, it's Eleanor here from Hairdressers Journal. Welcome back to our Upskills series. Today's masterclass is sponsored by babyliss Pro. For more information about babyliss Pro, you can head to babylesspro.co.uk or you can click the link in our comments. But this morning, we're joined by Matthew Sutcliffe, Director at Tint in Leeds, who will be showcasing us a cutting tutorial this morning. Welcome, Matthew.
Hi there, how are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's great to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity. I just want to say thanks for getting me up and getting me dressed so early on a morning, because I don't think I've been up this early for the last 6 weeks. So thank you so much. And thank you, babyliss Pro, for sponsoring this amazing event. I've been watching all of them for the last few weeks and they're absolutely amazing. Really good opportunity for us to share ideas and be creative. So thank you.
It's great to have you, and we're all really excited for your tutorial. So can you share with us a bit about what you'll be showing us today?
Yeah, so as we know, we're in the third lockdown now. For the last 3 lockdowns, we've, as a team, Team Tint have been working on blockheads at home, tuition heads, and we've been working on cuts in particular. We're really passionate about cutting hair anyway, but as we know at the moment, hairdressing's really lent itself to like long hair, and it's really lent itself to like colour work and everything else. So the opportunity to train in cutting hasn't really come around for the last few years or so. So we've taken this opportunity throughout lockdown to buy some tuition heads and work on our hair cutting, because we believe hair cutting will be coming back out again in a big way over the next few years. I think what's important to point out here is it won't be necessarily cutting like we've seen like 10, 15 years ago, where everything was super sharp and angled and everything else. I think it'll be hair cutting that we will see really nice, effortless colour in there, really, really effortless styling and things like that, really. So this is the sort of work that we've been working on, something that suits nice styling and really, really nice colour work. So can't wait to show you.
Amazing stuff. For everyone watching, you'll have the opportunity to send in questions, so please do send them in as we go and I'll fire them away. But without any further ado, I'll hand over to you, Matthew.
Thank you, thank you. So you see I've got these blockheads behind me. We've got this girl here with the blue hair. One of our girls, Leanne, she's been working on that one. We've got this one here, this purple one, these guys behind here. So like I said, we've been working on hair cutting with effortless colour and effortless styling as well. So something that hopefully we could take back to our clients and show them how to style shorter hair, how to style cut hair, and how to make things a little bit different, and really pushing our boundaries now and really like getting ourselves out there. So I'm going to be showing you 2 blockheads today. One's a short bob, which I've already cut. I'm just going to be doing a little bit of refining and styling it, and then I'm going to be doing a longer hairstyle with short layers. Some might know it as the shag, but I just call it a short laid haircut for now, and then we'll go through the rest of that in a minute. So here we go. I've spent the last week or so cutting this. Can you see that okay, Eleanor?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so I spent the last week or so cutting this. It was a blonde wig tuition header anyway, and I've just toned it with a nice sort of silver toner. I'm just going to pull this off the block stanza, and you can see here it's got a really, really steep graduation in there, and really steep graduation through here, and just gets a little bit longer towards the front. So the way I've cut this, I've been cutting this with parallel lines, really steeply building this graduation up here, and you can see there's just a little point here. The reason I put this in here is because actually I've taken the graduation higher than the hairline now. So if I was to just chop this off, it'd probably look a bit weird, and you probably would see the hairline, especially on blockheads, we can actually totally shave it off. So the reason why we put this point in here is when you're trying to work up the line and across like so, it makes it look a bit sort of softer and a little bit more effortless there. So this is the reason why I've done this. So what we're going to be doing now, just to refine the shape slightly, I'm going to be using the skeleton trimmers by babyliss Pro, obviously. And I'm just going to be tidying up the hairline as well. So really cool technique this. I must point out, before I did this, another really good way of sort of softening this hairline out slightly is just by getting your scissors and just sort of scraping it along the graduation like that. And that helps to really soften it out as well, which is really cool. Once you get to that point where you need the trimmers, I always use these as like the finishing touch, if you like. You'll never see me cut the haircut in just with a pair of clippers or trimmers. You'll always see me just refining the shape afterwards. And the reason being, because I just feel like you need to get a really good grip on where you're going with the overall cut first. So when you go straight in with the clippers, I don't think you can do that. Obviously, it's very artistic doing that, but if you really want to get the perfect finish on it, I think you need to be cutting it with the scissors first. So yeah, I've already refined all this one. I'm going to show you what I've done anyway. So when I'm using the trimmers, you see I'm holding it with one hand like this, and I just stabilize it with my little finger here like this. And that helps me from, like, especially when I'm working on a Zoom call like this, stops me from like shaking away. And we're just going to sort of tidy this up slightly. So any little bit that you can see like sticking out, obviously they are tuition heads, so they're never going to sit as flat as a normal hairline. So this is a really, really good way of getting it like a little bit smoother into the hairline like so. And you can really work on the graduation as well. I'm not joking, I probably spent about 9 hours doing this the other day. And I was in the salon on my own, literally all day trimming this. And I switched all the lights off, walked pretty much to the front door, and I just couldn't do it. So I switched the lights back on, I ran back up again, and I had to carry it again. And I spent another hour doing it then, and I just still wasn't happy. So I spent a bit of time on it this morning. I could probably carry on the rest of the day as well, because a cut like this has to be absolutely perfect. And that's how much time we put into these haircuts, you know, to make them stand out and make them look different. So there we go. I just wanted to quickly demonstrate what I did with that graduation there. Can you see that okay?
Amazing, it looks great.
So there we go. Like I say, just building the weight upwards and across like so. Now, when we worked on the sides, lift the head up absolutely perfect, like this. Rather than trimming it like this on the sides, we need to keep it looking really organic looking. So by cutting it straight like this, every time the hair moves, you're going to see a line in it. So when we're working on a side or a line, we always use the point cutter technique. So we're just cutting it along like so, and then soften it again. The reason we do that is when the hair moves, it moves naturally. And when you've got these really tiny point cuts in it, you can create a straight line, but more of a seamless line. So when the hair moves, you're not going to get this like solid line moving around. So I definitely recommend it. Rather than cutting a straight line like this for finishing, just literally just tidy it up like this. I'm trying to do this whilst looking at the camera. So can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And if anyone's got any questions, please do send them in. But for the clippers, the trimmers, where else would you use those? Is there any other styles that they would be effective with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So primarily for like short hair, like gents hair. And these particular clippers or trimmers, so they are, they're called skeleton trimmers, and they get so close, like the hairs on your neck. Literally, like they're absolutely perfect. There's different gradients in trimmers. The one after that is the foiler, which is even closer. But these are absolutely perfect for barbering. I was showing you this earlier on, wasn't I? But look how thin they are, and you know what? They look amazing. But yeah,
cool.
they do look the bizzle. But also they've got the weight to them as well. So like I was saying, when you're using this technique, literally just place your finger underneath like that, and it helps you sort of stabilize what you're doing. And then when you're working down as well. a bit like when you point comb with a pair of scissors as well. So you're just working like this, but yeah, amazing, really good. So I'm going to be using the deep waiver now. Check this out. Anybody that knows me will know this is probably my favorite product and or tool. It's absolutely amazing, really cool. So you see there, we've got like one deep wave in there. And the reason why I want to use it is because, like I was talking about earlier on, we wanted to develop ourselves. We wanted to create haircuts that can be styled and haircuts that can be coloured. And as we know, the fashion and the hair world, it evolves, it doesn't change. So the idea of us going back to really short, sharp, geometric haircuts straight away is not going to happen. It's going to evolve, and we're going to evolve from having styled hair, coloured hair, and we're going to go into coloured hair, styled hair with sharp haircuts. And that's how it's going to sort of evolve. So that's how I see it anyway. So we've really been like sort of pushing ourselves and working out how we can sort of create haircuts that look styled and look coloured. So I'm going to use the deep waiver, which would arguably be a crimper, like a modern crimper, if you like. But it's just got the one deep wave in it. So here we go. They do have a heat setting on them. We've got 4 heat settings. We'll be using 200 degrees. The integrity of the hair is so important at the moment as well. Everybody's been at home. Everybody's been super conditioning the hair. Nobody wants to go back into the salon and have it absolutely blitzed and like, yeah, have their hair bleached to death. So it's about sort of maintaining the hair now. And a lot of people have been at home. They've been learning about how they can manage the hair, what products they want to use, and you know how they can keep the hair in the best condition they can. And this is something we've really sort of honed in on as well. So using heat appliances with control settings like this are absolutely perfect for the job, really. So I'm going to use 200 degrees. And try not to, I'm really big on organicness, so try not to overdo it, if you like. Try not to take too big a sections, two perfect sections really, because as we know, again, hair is natural. So if we put like a perfect section, it probably won't look natural. So I like this. Scary, isn't it?
And how big of a section would you put into the styler?
So that section's about that big. So it's about 2 inch. Notice how I've left the underneath section out for now, because if you crimp the underneath section or deep wave the underneath section, it might become too fat. So if you're not going to see it anyway, it might be better not to actually do the underneath section because you don't want to make it too big. And we do that with curling as well sometimes. Sometimes we go back in and just give it a little bit of a ripple of a curl underneath, but not overdo it. Because if you overdo it, it just, like I say, it will go a bit too fat.
Cool, so just focusing on the top. Yeah, I can see that.
Exactly. Yeah, just focusing on the top. These are absolutely amazing on shorter hair as well. I'm just going to go back in and do that again, actually.
Lynn says, this is a beautiful cut. It's really stunning.
Thank you. That's very kind.
And you can see the tools really help to change that whole look, hasn't it?
Exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to create haircuts. I've said it before, just a haircut that looks styled and looks like it's been finished in a very different way. And especially, this is why I really wanted to push myself and use something like this on a short haircut, because when we look at a tool like this, it's so big, we instantly think, oh, it has to be used on long hair. Well, I've just proven it doesn't need to be used on long hair. And it just gives it amazing texture and very different as well. And it's something that you can offer your client. The client walks out feeling completely different. It feels like she's got something that nobody else has got, and that's what it's all about. It's about sort of pushing ourselves so we can push our clients into, you know, getting something different done.
Absolutely.
And just brush it out like so.
That looks really cool. And have you got any tips if you have a client that's you're retailing like the heated tools to? Any tips for helping them use it at home to get the best results?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So
concentrating on. Sorry.
Have you got any tips for clients who maybe want to use the tool at home, how they can kind of recreate the effects?
Yeah, well, so if anybody wants to use it at home, fine. One thing I need to point out is this side's really, really hot. That's where the heat is basically. So you need to be using it this way around. So this side's got like the heat protection on it. So always use it this side round because you obviously don't want something to your face. This particular tool is absolutely fantastic for a client to use because it's so easy to use. I shouldn't really say that because I'm meant to be, you know, it's meant to be a masterclass and I should be showing you how technical it is, but it isn't actually that hard to use. It's fantastic. You literally just go like that. So you literally just crimp it through your hair. So your answer to your question is actually there's not many tips for it because it is actually really, really easy to use. And just make sure you get your sectioning right. I think if anything, 2-inch section's about right, really. And also just work in what we call brickwork sections. So a brickwork section, just like a brick format. So 2, 1 underneath, 2, like this sort of thing. And that's a great way of getting it to sort of blend in a little bit. Remember what I was saying about it being organic as well. Try not to think about it too much. If you think about it too much, you get your sections too perfect, it can look a bit unnatural. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Amazing, great tips. So we've had some more comments in. Joanne says, great cut and colour, great cut, colour and style and easy to achieve at home. I love it. So it's just really easy to use, isn't it?
Exactly, that's what I love about it. It gives the hair such a different look without having to go absolutely bonkers and spend all day doing it. So, but going back to the haircut's so important because it's got a strong line to it. It's got a lovely colour, and it just looks that bit different.
Really nice.
So you've still got your graduation underneath there. So there we go. That's my first look. Cool. Thank you.
What have we got coming next?
Oh, so I'm going to be working on shorter layers. Let's put that in view and you can see that. See, it feels weird with all these things around there. So I'm going to be working on shorter layers on long hair. Here we go. So I've actually pre-coloured this as well. This started off as like quite a yellowy blonde, and I've just like toned it with an ashy toner. I did leave it a little bit lighter around the front as well, just to give it a slightly different look. Can you see that okay there?
Yeah, perfect. Maybe we can we lift it up a little bit higher?
I've just tried to do that. Bear with me.
No probs. And if you guys have got any more questions, please do send them in. Yeah, that looks great. I think we can see that really clearly.
So this is the one that I've been working on the most, and this is like the showcase, if you like. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating these shorter layers through the top here, whilst keeping this length through here. We're going to be creating a short fringe through the front, and we're going to be styling it using the Prima 3100, which is like one of my favourite tools at the moment as well. I've got 2 favourite tools. This is fantastic. So the reason why this is fantastic is it doubles up as a tong as well. So you've got your straightener, you press this here, and then you've got your tong as well. So you see I'm not holding that now. It just holds it together. Then the outside it gets hot as well, so we can wrap the hair around it. So first of all, we need to do the cutting. So when you're doing a haircut, it's really important to do like a really thorough assessment of the hairline, bone structure, face shape, everything else. So it's really important. What I found with these head blocks was the hairline is fairly low towards the back, which creates a lot of width here, a lot of thickness to it. So when we're doing a general sort of layering technique, to be able to reduce that weight out the underneath, we almost need to do like 2 layers. So the way I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna do it almost like, think of a Christmas tree, right? So we've got the layers of the Christmas tree. It goes long, then short, then long, then short, then long, then short. So what I'm gonna do a short layer underneath here, and I'm gonna do another short layer over the top, so that the longer layer sits over the short layer underneath here, and that will eliminate the bulk out of here. So when we're looking at it from profile, we've got like a bit more of a flatter profile towards the back. Same again around the hairline, around the front, it's quite a low hairline. So we're going to be cutting the fringing afterwards. It'll be one of the last things we do. When we look at the profile again here, we've got the hair falls forward from this point. So if we cut that into the layer, it'll be kind of pointless. So I'll explain a bit more about this in a minute. This will be cut very separate from the rest of it, like this. Cool. And then colour-wise, yeah, like I say, it's just a bit light around the front, a bit darker everywhere else, just to give it a little bit of a different look. So let's crack on with this underneath bit. So just tilt the head very slightly down like so. We're going to get 2 clips. Please note, I'm going to be cutting this dry. It's not something I always do, but because you don't want to see me drying hair for half an hour, because they take absolutely ages to dry, I figured it'd be better if I just do this dry. So take a section straight across like so. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see that perfectly. We've had a few questions. Could you tell us the name of the tool that you showed us earlier? The straightening. Yeah, it's called
the straightening tool. It's a Prima 3100. Really cool tool. It does have heat settings on it as well, like all babyliss tools have, babyliss Pro tools. They're absolutely fantastic for that, really, because it allows you not only to keep the integrity of the hair and the condition of the hair, which is obviously really, really important, but it also gives you the versatility as well. And sometimes people don't want that absolutely perfect curl. And if you turn down the heat a little bit, you get like might get a softer curl. You get it's better for the condition of the hair, and you get a very different look. So it's really important, if anybody's got these tools or thinking about buying the tools, to play around with heat settings and see what suits that individual. Everybody's hair is different, so it's really important to check that out. So just tilt the head forward slightly. And this is where the majority of the bulk is in the hair. As you can see through the side through here, from the ear onwards, that is all pretty much the same weight. But this is almost like a disconnected weight underneath because the hairline drops like so. So sometimes it's important to approach this area as a separate piece of hair, really, and then work on the top afterwards.
We've had a couple of questions on what toner did you use to tone the hair?
Oh, 1012 at the front, 1012 L'Oreal, and I've used 831 and 1012 throughout the back. So thank you, Chelsea from L'Oreal as well. She helped me with that. She pointed me in the right direction. And because these tuition heads are quite yellow when you first get them, so it's really important to colour them. I've coloured all these pretty much, and the team, sorry. These guys have coloured all these, and they're all like bright yellow when we got them. The only one that hasn't been is this brown one here.
Amazing.
Because like I say, it's really hard. You know, it's really hard. It's really hard when you're in the midst of a busy salon and you want to do like creative work, but it's really hard when the salon's very busy, especially between lockdowns. We felt like we've not really done much training because we're sort of pedaling away to make sure we're, you know, getting the income and everything else into the salon. So these lockdowns have been really good for us to push ourselves. So if anybody's at home and they are feeling like a bit, I don't know, a bit like uncreative or whatever, the best thing I've done is find some blockheads and just get them head down and just practicing new things that I don't get a chance to do in the salon. One, because it's not what clients want, or two, because we're too busy pedaling away and we can't have time to be too creative. So this is giving us opportunity to do this type of thing, really. Right. So it has been good for us in some respect. You've got to take the positives out of these experiences that we've had. So, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using my scissors as a razor. So I literally guide this through like so, lift it up slightly so it keeps looking softer. If it's low like this, it's going to drop quite hard. You're going to see definite lines in it. The higher you lift it, the softer the layer will look. So like this. And then we're just dragging it through like so. Keeping that length towards the end. Like that. Now, can you see where I've done it? Probably not. So that's good. You don't want to be able to see where I've cut the hair. That's the idea. So it's just the fact that we've taken that bulk out the underneath without having to put a really heavy layer in there as well. Now, notice here how I'm going to be taking half the section from one side and pulling it into half the section from the middle. The reason I'm doing that is because when you look at the underneath, the hair is actually a bit thinner here and here than what it is right in the center. So we're actually creating a slight graduation technique throughout the back. So we're leaving the hair a little bit sort of heavier here. And that will help to sort of balance out the overall haircut. So I'll be taking half of my last section, half of the new section, doing the exact same technique now. Just over-directing it into my last section. Hope that makes sense.
Had a couple of questions on where you got the doll heads from.
They've been given to me, these actually from L'Oreal. They're absolutely amazing. These ones, but I usually use the pivot point ones. They're really good as well. And they're really good to, they've got really good, it was actually Richard Phillippe that told me about this. The hairlines are really good on the pivot point ones. And when you're doing hair up work or when you're doing cutting work, they actually sit quite flat as well. So I definitely recommend them. If you're doing a pivot point, if you're doing hair up, pivot points, Vanessa is really good. They're really good to do hair ups with. But I absolutely love it at the moment. I just love doing haircuts on colour. And I really wanted to get a coloured block, so something I could actually colour like this and do something a bit different with that. I'm even considering putting like some sort of brighter colour in it afterwards as well. So maybe doing some blue around the front or something. But to be honest, I didn't dare do the colour and it not go right. And then have to explain myself this morning. So yeah, that's the reason why I haven't done that.
Maria would like to know, are you using a diagonal forward section?
A diagonal forward section? Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah. It's similar to, the idea is that the layer will look similar to what we do when we do a graduated bob. So it looks short in the middle, go like this. So the weight would actually, there'd be more weight at the side to compensate that part of the hairline.
Amazing. And what sort of haircut trends do you think will be big as we head towards spring and summer?
I think this type of haircut, so shorter layers. There's a lot of people calling it the shag, but there's a lot of interpretations of the shag. I've seen like a bob shag. I've seen like a long hair shag. So I'm just going to say shorter layers. And The reason why I think shorter layers are coming out is because it gives the hair loads of volume and movement, and it really lends itself to natural flowing hair as well. And it gets us out of this sort of curly hair category, which I absolutely love, but it just evolves it slightly and just brings it into a new world. Because if you curl it too much, it probably wouldn't sit right because the layers would be too short, basically. So it wouldn't sit right. So having these shorter layers, we would be diffusing the hair, would be like tonguing the hair lightly at the ends, and it just creates a completely new look, and it really lends itself to the spring summertime. Sorry, if somebody was looking at me through the window over there, probably wondering what I'm doing. I was like, I could see that at the corner. I was like, oh no, is he going to start banging on the window?
Oh no. Amazing. So for everyone watching, we will have this to watch back on our YouTube and IGTV channels. So if you've missed anything, you can rewatch it. But could you remind us of the tools that you've used? We had a couple of questions on what you've used so far.
Yeah, of course. So we've got the Deep Waiver, the babyliss Pro Deep Waiver. Absolutely amazing. It's probably my favourite tool. So if you've just joined us, I've just used the Deep Waiver on this lady here. Absolutely amazing. And then the Prima 3100 as well, which is absolutely amazing. It's like it's got a dual usage, so you can clamp it and use it as a tongue, and you can also use it as a straightener as well. And then it's got your different heat settings on there, so very different controllers, which is amazing. So I'll carry on now. If you wanted to, you could just skim this, just to sort out the ends and just make sure that obviously get any dry bits off. There's going to be a lot of people coming in and not have the haircut for months, so it's probably a good idea just to skim that slightly. And that's your underneath section done. So any questions on that? Are we happy with that?
I think we're all up to date on the questions, but if you've got any for Matthew, please do send them in.
Cool. Right, so we should have these short layers in here now, which we have. Cool. The idea is that you can't see them. It's meant to look seamless. It's meant to look like you can't see them. If you've just caught up with us, we've just left it a layer in here. We've just left it a bit heavier through the sides just to compensate the underneath as well. You can just see how the hairline just drops in there. So if we're cutting the hair the same all the way through, it won't compensate the weight here. And what you would find was it looked thicker in the middle and then really thin at the end. So we've pretty much got that balance right there. So, next stage. If you're working on really, really short hair, sorry, thick hair, you could actually do that technique a few times. And like I said before, it's a bit like a Christmas tree, where you could actually cut a short layer underneath, you've got your long one over the top, short layer underneath, long one at the top. And the way it would form, it would actually look like this, which is pretty cool, like a Christmas tree. And,
a great analogy.
Yeah, it's not mine actually, somebody told me it once. But yeah, it's cool. It's a really good way of sort of demonstrating it. So the idea is now you would pick this up and you can actually see that hole underneath.
I didn't get that. Ooh. Could you try?
Oh, is that Siri getting involved?
Siri's getting involved. Saying, I didn't get that. It's a Christmas tree, can you not see? Right, here we go. So now we're going to work on the layers on top. If anybody got that, so we're going to do the Christmas tree, and you could do another Christmas tree, but for this, we're going to do the underneath, which we've just done, and I'm going to put the layers on top. I've seen this technique done like 3 or 4 times where they've done like loads of layers in there. It looks fantastic. It all just depends on the thickness of the hair, really. So I'm going to work on these shorter layers now. Do you mind if I just bring this down a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. If it's too low, just let me know. Just because.
Cool, we can still see.
Tiptoes in a minute. So, right. So now it's really important to look at hairlines again at this point. The hairline, we have these hairlines called, we call them breaking points. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that. Breaking point is where the hairline falls in different areas. So whether it falls to the side, whether it falls to the back, whether it falls from the crown back or from the side forward, sorry, from the front forward. So it's really important to understand that, because when you're layering the hair, when it sits back in its natural place, it will fall back into its breaking point. So as we know, the fringe, the front area, when you look at the side of the head, and the way you get to work this breaking point out is you literally just hold your comb on top of the head like this. And can you see that there? You see that gap in there? That's where the hair breaks and goes forward. So that point would be where you'd put the fringe in, to that point there. If you put it any higher than that, the hair's just going to fall to the side. So you'd have a fringe that starts at the front and goes into the side. So we're going to totally eradicate that fringe, take that out completely, and then we're going to work on the layers first.
We had another question on your Christmas tree technique, which is from Samantha, and she's asked, what type of hair would you not use that technique on? Is there anything that you would, any kind of hair type that you would avoid that? Or is it pretty versatile?
It's very versatile. You just need to work out whether it suits that density of hair, because the technique is really made for people with really thick hair, and it eliminates all that bulk out underneath. So that's why I use that technique really. Where the hairline is quite low at the back, I wanted to put that in to eliminate that thickness.
Amazing.
But you definitely try it on plenty of hair. Maybe not try it on every client.
Everyone gets a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Right, so just take a little triangle out the front, where we'll be cutting the fringe in, like so. And notice how I'm just putting the clip in like this. If the hair's like, if it's dry like this and you start winding it up, it will end up like getting a dent in it, and then I'll end up having to dry it in front of you and trying to mess around styling it. So I'm literally like just gonna put one in like that. You can get these little grips as well, which are like little, almost like little clips with like little pads on them, which are really good for that, which you can use. So I'm going to put this top layer in now. So I'm just going to be drawing a line through the middle. Can you see that? Okay. This is where we can get creative, because we can go quite short with this layer. Remember, we've got a Christmas tree underneath, so that's going to eliminate the bulk, but we're just going to literally like pretty much cut across like so. And I'm going to point cut this in as well. To be honest, it's sometimes better to cut long hair while it's dry like this anyway, especially when you're doing like a thinning technique. You got to think, when the hair's wet, it clumps together. So when you're doing a technique like this where you want to thin the hair out, when the hair's dry, it'll spread out throughout the hair a bit better, and you can actually get a better grip on it and work it. You can see how much weight you're taking out of it. So actually, it's pretty cool to do that anyway. But in this case as well, I didn't want to be drying the hair for like an hour, because this hair's like super thick. It took me like an hour to dry that bob the other day. God, really? So just point cuts in, and I'm just following the shape of the head now, like that.
Could you use this technique on curly hair as well?
Absolutely, yeah, it'd be absolutely fantastic on curly hair. So don't be shy when you're putting your layers in. And you're just cutting that top layer. Remember I was talking about breaking points earlier on. So the breaking point, when you hold your comb over here, you can see that. You've got breaking point here now. So we're going to do this whole top section into a square layer first, up to that breaking point. So point cutting in like this. It's so liberating. Like we were talking about lockdown liberation the other day, and how like how cutting's going to be massive, because I think people are just going to come in and go, you know what, just cut all my hair off because I just want to feel liberated from lockdown. And this is kind of where this has all come from really for us, and why we wanted to do this this type of thing really in lockdown, do some cutting. Because we're hoping that clients are going to come in and go, you know what, let's just do it. And every hairdresser loves to cut hair, surely.
Absolutely. I think everyone watching will be ready to go back into the salons once we're allowed to.
I know. This is amazing, I've got to admit. And like I said, if anybody's got like, you know, got a bit of time and they want to get a bit crazy, just buy a block and just go crazy on it, because it's like the best thing ever.
Absolutely. It's a great way to practice as well.
Exactly, and they are so good nowadays. When we first started on blocks years ago, like I was in the ID team in 2008, L'Oreal ID team, and we used to get these blockheads, and you cut like a little bit of hair, and it just go ping like this, and you'd be like, oh no. But I've got confidence with them now, because they've definitely evolved over the last few years, and they're actually a lot easier to use now, and you can actually get them falling like real hair and acting like real hair and colouring like real hair as well. So definitely. Right, so important part now. So we're going to be working from the front. So we're using that guideline that we're putting through the top. I'm actually going to work from the back so I can show you how. And you could do this by working from the front, but I'm just going to, just so you guys can see, I'm just going to be working from the back, but pulling the hair forward like so, and using that guideline. It's a bit like when you did your full graduation back in the day. But it's a bit squarer, so you're not going to get that full graduation that we used to see on Friends, when it was like perfect like that. So it's a bit square, so you're picking it up square and using that guideline from the top. And then you remember from the back, we were taking half a section and leaving a section, and then over directing onto the previous, like so. Exactly the same technique now. And then,
sorry.
Sorry.
We've had a couple of questions on your scissors that you use. Do you prefer using different scissors when you're working on blockheads as opposed to with your clients?
No, I don't actually. I use the same scissors. And yeah, exactly the same. These are Matthew Sutcliffe's. They're really cool, actually. Really good scissors. And I generally use quite small scissors, but now I actually use the same on blockheads, because again, they are like real hair nowadays, which is brilliant. They're not as I mean, you do find the odd bit of cotton wool in them, which is a bit random. I had to cut like a piece of like yellow cotton wool out of like the blonde one that I just did the other day. So I don't know where that came from, but yeah, generally it's pretty good. So that's that side done.
Sorry, I was going to say, Kirsty says blocks used to have hair strands about 1 centimetre apart like rows of corn.
Yeah, that's so true. That's funny. That is so true. They were horrendous. And they weren't coloured either. Like, you always had to get brown. And now you can get coloured ones, and this is why it's given us the opportunity. We think we've found an opportunity for us to create styles on coloured hair, really, on tuition heads. So straight away I was like, well, there's no point in getting brown ones if you can get blonde ones, because we could always colour the blonde ones brown if we needed to. So
yeah, it seems like the blockheads have come a long way.
Yeah, they have, yeah. And if you look on Pivot Point's website, there's millions of them. Absolutely millions of different types. You see what I'm doing there? Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we can see that.
Bit of point cutting like that. Right. And then all the way up to that back layer again. And same again, I'm doing it dry so we can thin the hair out a bit easier as well. The hair doesn't clump together when it's dry. So through the front, I'm going to be cutting quite short fringes there. So you can see now, going back to what I was saying about breaking points. You see that, okay? Going back to what I was saying about breaking points, this hair that I've just cut is falling to the side, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So I've cut the layer in from the side, cut it from the back, and I've sectioned the fringe out now. Now these type of fringes have been they've been coming out for the last few years or so. I mean, I was working on a show with Richard Phillip years ago, and we were doing the Richard Malone show, and we were actually raising fringes in, and that must have been like 4 years ago. So they've been coming out for a few years, but I think now we're going to start translating them into the salon a little bit more, and we're probably going to see a few more fringes coming out back into fashion again. And these type in particular are going to be quite big. So, so notice here, we've got a little jump in the hairline. What we're going to do is hair dry. And I'm going to brush on there. We're going to get heat on there as well. So quite a hot setting, and then just cool shot that off, like so. That'll just get rid of that hole. Tell you what's cool about these nozzles as well. Look at this, you can see that. They're actually angled. So when you're doing this type of work, you can actually angle it down the hair.
That's really handy. And that's the babyliss. What model was that, sorry?
It's a Italia Brava, that is.
Amazing.
Right, so very quick tutorial. I know we've only got 10 minutes, so I'll crack on. So we cut fringe in like this. Let me just show you something. So we cut a straight line. This is just a very quick straight line. Missed a bit. You see that?
Yeah, you can see
straight
that.
Line. So when you cut a straight line on hair, pull it straight down, it's going to create a curve. So we don't need to cut curve in. So when you're doing a fringe in the salon, just pull it straight down and cut it straight across. I promise it'll give you like a perfect curve. And that's the easiest way of creating like a fringe, really. So that was just a quick tutorial. What I'm going to do now, following that same line, but cutting up into it. I generally always cut a few lines into it first rather than cutting it straight into that style, because it's a bit like somebody said to me again, not my analogy, but it's the tree analogy. Cutting hair is a bit like chopping down a tree. You can't just chop it down in one go and get the perfect look straight away. So we have to break it down, and when you cut it into stages, it helps. So like I say, I've just cut the fringe in, and then we can break it down using different techniques. And in the interest of time, I managed to get the look in there pretty much straight away, or a few trims, which is exactly what I wanted to do. You can see it popping up a little bit. I'm not worried about that, because hopefully the Prima 3100 will sort that out. So a bit of point cutting in there like that.
Oh, Tom would like to know, what's your favourite era for hair? That's a fun question.
Oh, favourite era?
Yeah.
Oh, heat protection, that's good. Favourite era for hair? I actually don't think I've got one, because I just like change all the time. At the moment, I'm really into hair cutting, so you could say it lends itself to like more probably 90s. I'm seeing a lot of like mullets and stuff at the moment. We were doing loads of that sort of stuff in the late 90s, and I absolutely loved that. I absolutely loved all that sort of stuff. When I first started hairdressing, I was absolutely in awe of it, of how people really pushing themselves with hairdressing and cutting in particular, and we've seen a lot of this type of thing really. So yeah, obviously 70s, such a cool era for a styling point of view. People were doing loads of really cool styles. I don't think I've particularly got a favourite. You throw me with that. I've actually got a book over here. Can you see them books in the background?
Oh, is that on your windowsill?
Yeah, there's a book I've got there. It's called 1,000 Years of Hair.
Oh, wow.
And it literally goes through like hair from literally 1,000 years ago. And it shows you like how it hasn't really changed. And as regards to like techniques and things, really, obviously the tools have changed that we've used and everything else, but it's amazing how like things come back out into fashion again. You know, like the 1920s bob that we were still doing in the 1980s with Beard House and Sue, you know, these sort of precision bobs, and it's amazing, you know, to see.
Absolutely,
right.
Everything comes around again, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So you see, you've got your short layers there. Now we need to connect this fringe up with these shorter layers as well. So we just literally pick this up like so, and we're going to, I don't know if you can see that, you'll see better when I do the other side, but I'm just going to trim that out like so. And then finding where the short part of the fringe is, so the corner of the fringe, and then bringing it into your layer like so. I remember somebody saying to me, never cut a fringe on stage.
Oh,
never
really?
do that, because you could, you know, you can mess it up big time. But I've just done it, so.
It looks great.
Right, so you've got your short layers. Just a few minutes left now, so I'll make sure I finish on time. So what we're going to do now is using the Prima 3100 again, just to finish the hair off with. And then I'm going to show you the diffuser as well. I think diffusers are very underestimated. And that's why I wanted to show them. So, like I said before, we've got a locking mechanism on here. We just literally move this down like so. And I'm not going to necessarily curl the hair with it. I just want to give the hair a slight manipulation. So a little bit of texture.
And if you had to pick one tool from the babyliss range, what would you pick? What's your go-to?
It's definitely the deep waiver. Well, any of these three actually. Can I pick three?
You can pick three.
Thanks. Yeah, any of these three, they're amazing. They're really, really cool tools, really good. And they're versatile, and what's important is they have the heat control on them as well, which is, I think that'll be a big player going back into the salons. Clients are going to be really conscious about the integrity of the hair and the condition. It's going to be, yeah, they're going to be, honestly, they're going to be like, you know, I've looked after my hair for the last 3 months now and I need to maintain it. What can I do? You'll need a haircut, you need a nice colour, you need to be using the right products and tools on your hair. You see there, it's just manipulating the texture slightly. Please note here as well that the sections I've put in are quite what we call vertical, so they're long like this. And the reason being, because if we put them in horizontally, you'll end up with a bit of poodle curl, which I don't want to do. I want to kind of keep this sort of shaggy feel to it. There's a lot of hair on the floor, that's cool. That's exciting. You see that? Okay. So you see how this section is quite long?
Amazing. So we're coming towards the end of the session. So if you've got any further questions, please do put them in and I'll fire them away to Matthew.
Please send me some questions. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Oh, it's been great. And so nice to see some cutting techniques as well. I think we've learned a lot, especially the Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree. It's all about Christmas tree this season.
Absolutely is.
So what we're going to be doing afterwards, because I know we've only got a few minutes left, I'm just going to spritz the hair with a little bit of sea salt spray. And I'm going to use the diffuser for the hairdryer, the Italia Brava, and just demonstrate very quickly why diffuser is amazing for the hair. It stops hair from being blasted all over the place. You can really layer up the products with the diffuser as well. So you could spray the product onto the hair and diffuse it in and let it set into the hair and then really build it up. I'll explain this in a second.
Amazing. And when you're what you're doing here, are you leaving the ends out at the end?
Yeah, just leaving the ends out slightly. Sorry, I didn't mention that, but yeah, just leaving the ends out slightly because it just gives it that sort of undone feel again.
Nice. Yeah, the texture is really cool.
Great texture. Just bending them ends slightly again, leaving the hair out. And I'm all about organic as well. So like the way I'm working with the tools is really organic like. My cutting is really methodical, but the way I use tools and the way I style hair is quite organic, unless I'm doing a specific job where they want something, you know, very structured. But when we're doing like everyday hair like this, it's very organic. So I'm literally picking up sections, winding the hair around, and giving it that undone feel. Right, last section now. Right. So a little bit of this sea salt spray. Really get this into the hair. And as we know, sea salt spray is, especially a pump one like this, it's quite wet, quite heavy and wet. If you over dry it, it's going to go too heavy onto the hair. So a lot of people like to spritz it in the hair and walk out. But as we know, sometimes a product can feel like it's sat into the hair and then 10 minutes later it falls out and you think, oh, where's that product gone? Do you find that with your hair at all? Do you know what I mean by that? You put the product on it, like an oil, and then you think, I just put some oil on my hair and it's gone. So if you have that with your own hair or in the salon, a good way of layering the products up on hair is by using a diffuser. So I'm just going to very quickly show you here. If you're using a hairdryer without a diffuser, you're going to blow the hair all over the place. Use a hairdryer with a diffuser, disperse the hair very good. So we put the products on the hair and then we can really scrunch into the hair like so. And then you assess it, and then if you feel like it needs more, you can spray more in. If you feel like it's okay, you're fine. Just like that. And that is my look.
Amazing volume in there as well. Incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the diffuser will help that as well. You can really scrunch into the hair. You see it's got the little prongs as well. You can really get your hair into it. But yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere. If I'm traveling somewhere or doing a show or something, you don't go anywhere without a diffuser. They come in handy, like loads, whether you're setting hair, putting products in like this, or just like anything really. Fantastic. Cool. I'm pretty much on time.
Bang on time. It looks brilliant. Let's give her a twirl.
So, these are my girls. Thank you so much. Thank
It's
you.
been absolutely brilliant, Matthew. And yeah, we love those looks and the cuts are incredible. I think we've picked up loads of great tips and tricks there. So thank you so much for joining us and for everyone that joined today.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Babyliss Pro, as well. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for getting me up early, getting me dressed. Really appreciate that. And any questions, you can DM me. I'll get back to you straight away. And I'm so happy to help anybody. So please do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, if you want to watch back, we'll upload this onto our YouTube and IGTV channels as well. But for now, thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. See ya. Bye-bye.